Welcome everybody back to Compas FC after a week off. Had to go over to Super Bowl week to go handle some business. We're
Mhm.
back. Champions League is back. J.C. Cervantes is back. Eddie Rodriguez is back. So excited to have Compas FC back for its 13th episode. We keep it moving here. Champions League soccer. There was also the things in the EPL are heating up, and then Mexico hired a new manager. We're gonna get into all that. But guys, how you guys doing? JC, how are you doing?
Great, great. Had a good Super Bowl game. Finally, performance was
Yeah.
meh. Expected a little more from the bad girl, but here we are. Champions League's back, and hope everybody had a good, day of what is it? Amor y amistad.
There you go. Ooh, look at him, huh?
I
J-
knew I was gonna get a
Eddie,
reaction out of that.
Eddie, how
Yeah,
was
yeah,
your?
yeah.
How have
Look
you
at
been?
you.
Yeah, I don't
Red lights in the
celebrate pagan
background for
holidays here.
Valentine's Day.
No. It was a gift from my love. No.
Loverboy
You
1000 is
know,
your screen name. I heard.
it's cool. Once you gotta set the
Y'all
mood,
are crazy.
champs. I gotta
Yeah,
do something.
I feel you. I feel you.
Hey,
The
I
lights
feel
change when
you.
I turn on the music, so
Oh, there
it's
you
cool.
go.
Then the disco ball comes down and everything, and yeah, it's all good.
Giggity giggity goop.
Oh, that's
Oh
hilarious.
man,
Guys, obviously, Champions League is back after World Cup. Seems like the Champions League has been gone for a while. World Cup, the
Forever.
break, and then everything coming back in, and domestic cups and everything. But Champions League action is back. First game, Bayern Munich against PSG, and Kylian Mbappe had to come off the bench. Why? Because he did get hurt 2 weeks before. He came out in off the bench. Bayern Munich ends up taking that victory 1-0. A little lackluster start, in my opinion, to the Champions League with this game. I think everybody was expecting just a parade of goals. Obviously, there was only one, but JC, what did you think about this matchup?
definitely a slower game than I was expecting. Definitely, I mean the injuries are a big reason for it, right? I think Bayern should have done a lot more. First 45 minutes, they were just all on the other side of the ball, and they were on PSG's side. I don't think they were clinical enough, and a 1-0 victory really doesn't tell the whole tale of the game. But I think the biggest thing that stood out here was that red card for Pavard. I think coach kind of dropped the ball on that one. He should have pulled him a little sooner. You could have put him on the left, could have put him on the right. He did do a side swap for him, but I mean, when you're playing against Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, you get a 1v1 and you're gonna slide, and that's what happened. But I expected more from Bayern. Hopefully, Pavard missing the next leg isn't too much of a bad thing for them.
Yeah, and you could tell that what the manager tried to do was they wanted to attack, especially because I mean we all know PSG's midfield isn't as good as their top three, so I think they tried to attack, take advantage that Mbappe wasn't there. But obviously, Eddie, what did you make of this matchup?
Yeah, you talked about it. Their midfield is lackluster at best. Verratti at times can seem overrated. Danilo is really not up to the task of playing at this high level. I think the stage is too big for him, and they were just outclassed by Bayern. And we're talking about Joao Cancelo looking like a steal of the transfer window for Bayern. It's an extra body in the midfield. He plays all game. He had a couple chances there where he crossed the ball. I think Bayern looked good overall. They were just lacking that goal scorer up top. So whether Thomas Mueller's going to be back soon enough or whoever's going to fill that void, that's to remain to be seen. But there's just a lot of problems with PSG, and I don't know what's going on in the locker room. Whether the reports are true that they're having a fallout with Neymar. Um, Messi came back from the World Cup and is just having a stroll. Doesn't look like he's interested in playing anymore.
Who?
And then who? And then Mbappe, getting his hurt, had to come in and try to save the day. Couldn't get it
He
done right now,
technically
but
did. He technically did.
hey,
It's just
hey,
offside.
hey.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, and honestly, speaking of saving the
problems
day,
everywhere.
Sergio Ramos came in and really just had a great game for them. You've seen how many
Yeah,
saves he literally stopped
Yeah.
what 3 goals, three like easily
Yeah.
himself stopped
he's
3
What's
goals
wrong
from
with
happening.
Donnarumma? It looks like he has no hands. Like the guy
Hey,
is super inconsistent. Like you see him
uh,
make a world class save and then You
It's ironic
know,
you're talking about goalies with no hands.
I know
I
you
don't
had to bring the
know.
hair here. I know you had to bring the
I
hair
didn't
here,
say any
but
names. I
you
didn't say
know,
any names. It was
I
all
think I
you.
rate the hair much higher
Mm-hmm.
than your boy Donnarumma. But okay,
Oh, we're gonna find
yeah,
out soon.
all right.
I already cost him his games over here.
Obviously, JC, I'm gonna ask both of you guys this question. There's being a lot made that maybe Neymar and Messi. I mean, with all the star power that the PSG has, that Neymar and Messi should be stepping up more, especially if Mbappe can't go. Do you feel like they're kind of more to blame for PSG not taking maybe that being able to compete against Bayern? Because it's like Eddie said. I mean, Lionel Messi looked like he was kind of coasting most of the game. He dropped back into the midfield, make a pass, and then kind of move up. And then Neymar at times you didn't even know if he was on the pitch or not. So do you feel like they kind of are to blame, especially because they are two of the better players in the world?
They're always gonna absorb a lot of the blame just because of their superstar power and who they are. Definitely, but I feel like the scapegoat here is Neymar. They're all just kind of pointing fingers at him, and he's the one being targeted as the guy who's needs to step up more. But I mean, when you look at it, every time he was on the ball, he was getting double, triple teamed. He really wasn't in any spaces to attack Bayern the way you would want him to, but also he didn't have any help. I mean, who's going to pass it back to? Danilo Pereira, Carlos Soler, Nuno Mendes couldn't get down the side. I mean, Cancelo was just so far up; he was just killing their whole game, and he didn't have any help. This kid Warren, I'm not even gonna butcher his last name. He debuted. What's he? 16 years old. They're really
Yeah.
just kind of wishing on a star here for somebody to step up in this midfield and offer some kind of playmaking ability. And they could have had a better lineup. They could. It's a lot of could haves, but Neymar getting the blame for it really isn't too fair for me because you got Mister I balled out in the World Cup on the other side of him, and he couldn't really muster up one shot on target in the what was it, the first 45 minutes? Didn't have one shot on target, and it was really their game, and they were playing at home, and I'd go down 1-0. It's a tough uphill battle going back to the Allianz Arena, losing like that.
It seems like when you're not playing Elche and all these like second division French teams, a certain individual
Hey,
can't score. So
it's
that's
crazy.
just. I mean,
That's
That's
I don't know. It
crazy.
crazy.
just.
You
I
That's
really
mean,
want
I
to
see
say that?
crazy.
ESPN. I see all these networks like, oh my God, Messi had
Hey,
a hat trick, and it's like he's playing some whatever team, but then when it comes to the Champions League, and the dude can't. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Eddie, what did you make of this?
oh man.
Or what do you make of that about Neymar and Messi maybe not getting as much
Neymar is
slack
the
as they deserve?
scapegoat. I think Neymar is being looked at as the odd man out, and I think PSG is ready to move on from
But
him.
that I mean, my bad, real quick. That always happens. I mean, I remember when the big three with LeBron, with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was always a scapegoat. Like there's always Blake Griffin was always a scapegoat when it was him, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan. Like I feel like there's always that one guy, and I feel like Neymar's kind of stuck
Well, didn't
in
the
that
same thing
place.
happen to him at Barca?
Yeah, well, yeah, when he
He was the
rescued them
first
from
one to
all those
leave.
different
when
games,
he when
He
him and
was the
nobody talked
Suarez
first
about
one.
him
rescued
rescuing them.
Sir Messi. Okay,
Hey, La
Yeah,
remontada, right? I
exactly.
mean, it was
yeah.
all Neymar and Suarez, but
It's
there they were
it's
blaming him.
unfortunate that Neymar's the scapegoat and he's the one being picked
Even
on, but you could
Salpique
just
had a
tell
goal in that game.
like from his game, like he was flopping all over the place, like the Neymar that was playing at Santos, but he wasn't doing that at the World Cup, right? At the World Cup, he was taking hits. If he was getting fouled, he wasn't rolling over. And here at this game, Pavard like literally just put his body in front of him and he started flopping. So that to me is like Neymar's disinterested. Looks like he doesn't want to play. Looks like he's not really into the game as he should be. And then Messi, like we mentioned, he's just taking a stroll. But why isn't he getting the blame? Because he won the World Cup. That you can't criticize him because he won the World Cup. Like no, like dude, you got to step up. The team needs you. Where's that playmaking ability that you showed during the World Cup, where you can't be that extra midfielder? Um,
Excuse me, that's called Messi magic.
whatever you want to call it, right? But again, like this Bayern team didn't look that great either. Let's be honest. Let's not say that this
No,
is one of those traditional Bayern teams that run amok on you per se. It wasn't. So, um, unfortunate what's happening at PSG. I think Neymar for sure this summer he's leaving. We can speculate where he's going to go next, but yeah.
what
Hey, The other guy
when
in the
it
locker
is
room is supposed to be leaving.
hey, I'm all about that.
He ain't going to the Casablanca though. I'll tell you that.
Where would he be going?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Some speculations.
Don't give me any of that crap. We already know where he wants to
Hey.
go.
All right.
Don't be mad, bro. Don't be mad.
No, I already know where he wants to go. It's a given. We already know.
One can only
when it
hope.
comes to Sadio Mane, is he supposed to be back?
I hope so. Damn, because Coleman is terrible.
They gave him an 8.9.
That was
he
a
scored.
terror. He couldn't hit. Oh man, that guy was just kicking the ball just to kick it half the time. He just looked like he wanted to wear a PSG jersey so bad.
Coleman, the proven winner everywhere he's gone, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
on
when he scored
bench.
and he just like
He's just on the bench, man. I don't know what's going on with Bayern's wingers. It was rough. I mean, you saw me going off in the group chat, man. Every time they went down the wing, it's like, man, what are you doing?
They were in his clinic.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Eddie, were you surprised that Davies didn't start?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I think the way the coach lined up really suited the game plan. It was a messy game, honestly. It wasn't like one of those fluid games where you think like, oh, okay, like it's really going to happen that this team is going to score one goal and then score another and score another. Yeah, they were in the final third a lot, but they were missing that last piece, which is scoring the goals. So I'm not surprised that Davies didn't start. Maybe he was being rested. Maybe he had a knock. Again, the kid is injury prone, unfortunately. I know you rate him and you supposedly want him in Real Madrid colors, but I don't know if that's going to happen, champ. But yeah, man, this game, honestly, this whole week, we're excited about Champions League being back. I think we're more excited about Europa League. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think the matchups for the Europa League look a lot better than the matchups that we just see right now for Champions League.
Oh,
yeah, I know. You're
Next week
not
again.
wrong about that. But the second leg is March 7th, I believe, between these two. So it'll be interesting to see what changes both teams make. Let's move on now to AC Milan beating Tottenham 1-0. Eddie, what did you make of this matchup?
Conte being Conte, right? I don't know. Tell J.C. over here he's a Conte lover. He swears by the guy. He says Conte's a magician. I don't know what else he calls him, a messiah. The second coming of Fabio Capello. I don't know. Like J.C.'s really infatuated with Conte.
That's crazy.
And again, Conte being Conte, looking very Spursy performance. And AC Milan were able to squeak the goal. So
they scored Raheem Diaz scored 10 minutes off a broken play.
It was a broken play, but they scored it, right? Can't really blame the goalkeeper on that situation. You gotta really blame the defense on there. Theo Hernandez was just running up the wing free will. Leao was really we were joking about it. Leao was looking like he was just having a kick with the boys. He was just playing his game and he was having a good time. Hey, this AC Milan team is kind of a sleeper, right? Kind of like one of those dark horse teams that a lot of people probably counted out, but they played a great game. And Spurs went on this real high of we beat Man City, and then go on this terrible run of form again where they're losing every single game. Can't get a shot on target. So yeah, very Spursy performance. The history of Tottenham.
I don't know. Broken goal play, first 10 minutes. They had a lot of opportunities, just couldn't finish. But, Milan just kind of overran the midfield. Tonali just locked everything down. Theo up on the corner. Milan really was a dark horse team. Giroud even looked like he had a couple of chances. But that kid, Charles, off the bench, I'm not going to destroy his last name. But
Belgian boy.
Yeah, that Belgian boy, first touch on the ball was almost a goal. But I think the big thing here is just that midfield and, this new 3-4-3 formation. Everybody's running with these wing backs and just a lot more offensive. Romero just terrible. I mean,
Romero's horrible.
To get beat that way by Theo on a 50-50 ball, and you're supposed to be an aggressive center back, and, this big tough guy, you just get knocked on your back, on the first 50-50 ball of the game, and it cost your team a goal. Brian Diaz, surprising goal. I mean, he wanted it more, and it showed. Your boy Lenglet definitely made a comeback there. I know you like to see him back on the pitch.
Stop,
But
bro.
no, for sure. I mean, you don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised anymore if Milan just keeps winning these games the same exact way, just grinding out 1-0 victories, just old school Italian football.
Obviously, with this victory, it's a pretty big win for Milan, especially because I know both of you guys have been high on Italian football, kind of starting to making a comeback, and obviously Milan has a good team. But what did you make, JC, of the Brahim Diaz goal?
Hey, you got to get there. Hey, if you want the goal, you're a striker, you're in the position. I mean, he's more of a false nine, right? Just a center forward. But
Yeah.
he had the shot, but it all came off of Theo, though. He literally just ripped it at the keeper's chest. He hit that ball as hard as he could, popped up off his chest, and Brian was there, and he didn't second guess. He didn't think twice, and he just had the shot, and then he was fortunate enough to have that rebound just pop up right in front of him that way, and, just throw himself at it. Never a foul, really, 50-50 ball, and, the hungry dog always runs faster, and they got their goal, and they just grinded the rest out.
Supposedly, Brahim is going to be recalled by Real Madrid next year. So, but I mean,
Really?
you never
Look
know.
at
Oh, is that
you. Look
right?
at you. Is that
That's
Hey,
what I saw.
right?
He's
You're not a
still a member
biased
of.
host, are you? Yeah, all right.
No, no, no.
Mm,
That's just what I saw. That they are
mm.
thinking about bringing him back, especially because
Yeah,
he's been
all
playing
right.
really well. But I mean, you just never know. I mean, they gave up on Hakimi, they gave up on Theo Hernandez, and well,
Yeah,
I mean,
you can thank
Hakimi kind of
Zidane
got
for that.
torched against Bayern, but Theo Hernandez is flourishing really well, and I
Cheeky.
feel like he's kind of taking his brother's spot on the
Well,
French
he was the
national team.
captain
I
of the
mean,
side. He captained
no, 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 yeah, no,
AC
but I
Milan.
mean, like
You know.
Theo's grown so much. I wouldn't be surprised if now on the French national team he's the starting left back and overtakes his brother because I mean Theo really can do a lot on the offensive line. He really helps you. He's exactly what I guess Marcelo was for, and I'm not saying that he's at the level of Marcelo, but he plays almost like Marcelo does, where he can come up, create, find the guy. He has the vision of a point guard basically on the field, and he knows exactly who to get the ball to
Yeah.
when he sprints down. So I just think I think the kid's really talented, and obviously him and Rafael Leao on that left side are freaking dangerous.
Yeah.
But Eddie, talk about Rafael Leao and kind of the progress that he's made, and he's like, because I mean he wasn't a well known name until last offseason, and then this season he's really made a lot of noise.
He's matured a lot. I think he's matured his game a lot more where he's looking for that right pass. Where before you'd probably see him take one too many dribbles, and now he's actually looking for the outlay. He's looking for the pass that's going to bring their teammate into a better position and open up the play. There's talks between him and Milan of renewing his contract, and I think that's smart business by Milan, trying to lock down their superstar. I mean, Leao came out and he said that he's trying to stay at AC Milan. That's good news for AC Milan, but even better news for Serie A, right? Keeping stars like him in the league and keeping the league um, entertaining and exciting with young players. I think it's great. Again, a lot can happen in the offseason, right? But all things point that Lao's going to continue his growth at AC Milan.
Maybe Manchester United can bring him in. Then you have Rashford on one side, you got Leao on the other, and JC would be the happiest man
Stop.
in the world.
He can't play right wing to
Stop.
save his life.
Stop.
He barely even play left wing.
One of the biggest headlines of this game was actually the comments Conte made about him and how he's in love with Italian football. It's his first love, and he's not ruling out the possibility of coming back. And it's like, is this really the time for you to start saying that when a lot of people are questioning your commitment to the club? I mean,
with good reason.
we gotta see this in the bigger picture, right? Are these players giving up on Antonio Conte and they're saying, you know what? If he's not mentally here and he's not fully committed to us, why should we? Because those are not the things you're supposed to be saying, in my opinion.
Is the club really committed to him?
Of course they're committed to him.
What transfers did he get?
He made Daniel Levy spend the bag when he came
on what?
Come on, hey,
on what?
Come on, no one's ever been able to
spend the bag
that.
on what?
Come on, bro.
Spend the bag on what? What did he spend the bag on?
Romero, Pedro Porro.
That's
Don't
a loan.
blame Conte. Blame Conte.
Last minute moves.
It's a loan with an obligation to buy. Stop the cap.
Last minute moves.
Kulusevski. You're trying to lock down Harry Kane. You lock down Son. Like, come on, man. Come on. Don't you give this guy too much credit. You give this guy way too much credit. You let him squeak by way too
The
much.
club
Start
is not
criticizing
backing
your
the
guy. All
gaffer.
right.
The
All
club is
right.
not backing the gaffer.
They're not backing the gaffer now. Okay.
That's why they
All
got
right.
a bid to sell the squad,
Okay.
guy.
Okay.
They didn't get a bid to sell the squad.
All right.
JC, if Ten
Mr.
Hag
Cheesebag let you.
after the game against Barcelona said, "Oh, I'd love to come to Spanish football. I'd love to coach here. Like that's where it's all about. It's Spanish football or nothing." Like if he made the same comments, would you be mad at him or no?
I'm not gonna play in a make believe world. I'm not gonna answer that question.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? This guy.
No, but the club's clearly not backing him. They're in the verge of selling the
They're
team.
backing him. They're
My
backing
God,
him.
how are they backing him when they're getting ready to sell the team?
They
They're
gave
not
him
gonna
the
spend
players he
any money.
wanted. They gave him the players
They
he
gave him
wanted.
one player.
They
One
gave him
player
the
they
players
gave
he
him.
wanted.
They gave him one
Come
player.
on, man.
That
Jose
was it.
Mourinho has Son and Harry Kane running amok. And then here comes Conte, and what happened to Harry Kane?
Yeah, how many
What
years
happened to
later?
Son?
How many
Come
years
on,
later?
man.
How much
Come
time?
on. Come on.
Get out of here,
Come
guy.
on.
Don't act like they
Come
spent the
on.
bag like Chelsea did for
Come
Potter.
on.
All right,
Don't
don't
start.
compare. The club
No,
does not
that's just
back
Chelsea
Conte.
being Chelsea, though. Like,
He's been saying
that's a
it
good
since day
transition,
one.
actually. Let's talk about Chelsea.
He's been saying it since day one that club needs to work on their culture, and he exposed all of them, and now they're all giving him
Okay,
back.
and it's
The same way
how come
Mourinho
Ten
did
Hag
over
comes
in
into
Man U.
Manchester United and talks about changing the culture and is
Because
actually
three
doing
coaches
it,
have
where
already
someone
done it
like
before
Conte
him.
comes in and talks about changing the culture,
Because multiple
changing
coaches have already
how the
done it
club is
before him,
seen.
guy. There's a
And
whole
this, come on
pathway.
now, come on,
You
come
kidding
on.
me? You act like Mourinho and Ralph
And
Ragnick didn't come out and say that.
Conte
Cristiano got
inherited a
fired for
way
saying
better
it.
team. He inherited a
Oh,
way better
really?
team
Really?
than Ten
Oh
Hag
yeah?
did.
Oh
Oh
yeah?
yeah,
Oh yeah?
100%,
Okay.
100%,
Oh yeah.
100%,
So now you don't.
100%,
Okay. All right.
100%.
All of a sudden.
All right.
All of a sudden.
I'm just telling you.
Okay. Like Ronaldo didn't lose his job for calling out the board and the
I'm just telling
franchise.
you. I'm
All
just
right.
telling you.
So
I'm
Eddie
telling
said
you.
it's time to transition. It is time to transition. Borussia Dortmund and Chelsea. Pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty interesting
Back and forth, back and forth.
first game just because you have Chelsea who just spent like almost $500 million in transfers, and then you have Borussia Dortmund who literally like almost every team I feel like every strong team has at least one former Borussia Dortmund player on their squad. They have a good farm system. They bring players up. They develop them pretty well. So obviously it would be an interesting game. 1-0. I mean, it was just it was one of those games that just didn't live up, I think, to the hype. But JC, what did you make of this matchup?
They're probably gonna end up signing Joao Felix. That guy was really the only one up there by himself trying to score a goal. It's tough. The Chelsea 9 curse lives on. They really can't get somebody to score a goal for them to save their lives. Ziyech is gonna turn. I don't know. He's losing his mind. It looks like every game. He looks super frustrated. Always coming out with a yellow. Mudryk is running down that wing, but no
And he got
last
that
pass.
yellow pretty early too.
He did. And Mudryk just running up and down the wing and really no concrete passes. I guess are they missing a 9? The way they got countered on really was just rough. The whole team
It's your
was
boy
up
Enzo.
there. Oh, my boy? What?
It's your boy? Is that your boy?
Talking crazy again.
Is that your boy?
Based on what? Show the
That's your
receipt.
boy. I don't know.
Show the
That's
receipt.
your boy. That's your
Show
boy.
the receipt.
He looked exposed against that kid. That little boy made him look.
I never rated the guy in my life, but all right.
All right.
All of a sudden.
All right.
I don't know. Jude Bellingham kind of left you wanting to see a little bit more of him out there. I guess an overcrowded midfield there. Loftus-Cheek was a surprise start for me. I really wasn't anticipating to see him play the game, but all credit to Borussia. They really kind of took advantage of their home field advantage, and they got their goal. And that was a quality goal too from that kid, Kareem. Bursting onto the scene, and he made the most of it. Kepa really just kind of got his hand a little too high. There's a lot of could-haves, but you wanted to see more action from this game. But I think if Joao would have scored at least 1, 2 of those goals he had right there, point blank range, you'd be saying a different game and a different story. I know you had Chelsea winning 2-0, and let me know how that came out. But give you your chance to give your 15 seconds.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah, you're right. I said that Joao Felix was going to score, and I said Kai Havertz was going to score. That didn't happen. Credit to Borussia for sticking it out. Great goal by the kid, Kareem. Jude Bellingham, captain of the side. Love to see it. But I think what I really liked about the game was just how Julian Brandt came into his own. The Chelsea really didn't have an answer for the kid, and he's been one of those guys where you're thinking like,
Oh
oh,
man,
okay, is he going to
Chip
be like a
over
Mario
there.
Götze, or is he going to be a little better? You know,
Ben
he hasn't really
Chilwell,
come.
and he
He
said
hasn't really
Brad
come into
first
his
came
own.
onto the scene.
He hasn't really come into his own. You know, we've been waiting
Oh
for
man,
Julian Brandt to take on this leadership role, to take on, you know, this key role for the team, and today he looked like it, right? Again, Enzo Fernandez had a one or two passes here, but defensively, he looked shambles. Um, Joao Felix had the clearest chances of the games, couldn't capitalize due to the post. But again, Graham Potter under the hot seat. I think, you know, all things point, if Conte's not the next manager sacked, it's looking like Graham Potter might be.
Uh, I wanted to kind of shout out their Borussia Dortmund's goalkeeper, Gregor Kobel. The guy had a game, and I know right there they give him a 9.2 rating, but you were watching this guy, and this guy was stopping everything that was coming at him. I thought
yeah.
Borussia's defense played really well as well. They were stopped, like Chelsea was throwing everything at him, and he and the defense and Gregor were able to stop everything. The dude really I thought he played really well in this game, and especially because Zhao had some chances where he was wide open and he would shoot, and Gregor would stop it, or he was able to direct it elsewhere. It just very good game by the goalkeeper. I wonder. I don't know if I mean obviously you guys know more than I do, but is he on the radar, or do you guys feel like he or not yet?
He's
He's
starting to.
he's one of those keepers that 2 or 3 years from now you'll see him at Bayern. So don't worry about it, right?
Yeah,
Well,
he's starting to
Manuel
pick it
Neuer's
up. That's
starting to
for
get up
It's
sure.
there in
looking like
age.
Manuel Neuer's on his way out of Bayern.
Yeah.
And
So
Sommer
and
didn't have a
Sommer
bad.
maybe has 1 or 2 years left, right?
He
So
didn't have a bad game either. So,
you know, no, but
but
I
no,
think
that kid did
Koulibaly had a
stop.
chance to tie the game at the end, and you know he was able to get a hand to it, I think, and then Emre Can was able to get out of the line. Um, but overall, there's a lot left to be desired if you're a Chelsea fan. You know, when is Joao going to start banging these goals that normally you'd see him bang in? And when is Kai Havertz going to actually start doing something? Because he looks like a shadow of himself. He needs help. And then Modric, I like Modric's game today. I think, up and down the wing, created a few chances. Wasn't allowing the Borussia Dortmund players to bully him. He looked pretty lively. So we'll see.
If JC, are you with Eddie that I mean, if Chelsea comes out of this trophyless, that Potter could be sacked in June or maybe even before that?
It's not looking like an if. It looks like they are going to be sitting trophyless, and they're just going to have to be fighting to stay in contention for Europa League at this point. To be honest with you, because it's just one bad thing after another, and you want to talk about backing the gaffer and wanting them to have time and do things, but you got results. Results. They're not getting any kind of positive results. They're not really showing any sparks anywhere. It's just a lot of individual play, and everybody's just kind of in the right places because of talent, but there's no real structure, and things really aren't coming along the way you would hope, especially after spending the money you spend. So it's real difficult to say. I think he should have, maybe shouldn't have even been on the plane home with the team. To be honest, I wouldn't have been mad to see that, just based on how Chelsea does business. Obviously, previous ownership, but if they want to try to salvage anything, they better hurry up and figure it out because it's only going to get more difficult. More games are coming, and you're only going to, dig yourself in a bigger hole.
What would happen if Tuchel was still the boss of this team?
I was just
Would
saying,
we be
Tuchel. I
seeing a
think,
whole different Chelsea right now that's not fighting for a Europa League conference spot
of
and
course,
maybe
Well, who
fighting for
knows
those
if they
top
would have
four
made all this
spots
much money too?
and
of course, of course they would have.
give Thomas Tuchel that type of money and let him tell you who to buy and watch what would have happened. We would have
Yeah,
probably
and we
talked
said and
about
we said
a
it last
Chelsea
time.
super team.
They were one or two players away from being really really good under Thomas. They already won a Champions League. They just needed to fill a couple holes, and now they're in a bigger
Thomas is
hole,
on to
especially
greater
after spending the money.
pastures, and don't be surprised if we see him take over the Real Madrid job this summer.
Mhm. It's a big if.
I don't know about that. Obviously, no, but damn, freaking JC over here trying to Lane Kiffin, Graham Potter, and fire him on the tarmac.
Kiffin.
Fire him on
Hey,
the
man.
tarmac
Hey,
when he was with
you
the
tell
Raiders
me,
and they
man.
made him fly home. Commercial.
Hey, sure. He's getting enough chances.
You know what though? I think Thomas Tuchel's actually a really good manager. I mean, he did some good stuff with PSG. He did some good stuff over at Chelsea. There were a couple of plays. I mean, they had brought it back against Real Madrid last year in the Champions League. I think Madrid when they were up 3-1. They brought it back. They took a lead, and then obviously Rodrigo was able to score. But I mean, Thomas Tuchel's a good manager. I really do think that the players love him. I just feel like for some reason managers don't or teams don't have patience with him. I don't know for what reason, and they don't let him figure stuff out, and they just would rather fire him. I think that's so
I don't think
weird.
that's it. I just think that's just Chelsea, and Chelsea were extremely impulsive
But I mean,
because
PSG did the
new
same thing with
ownership.
him.
Well, PSG that's a hot seat. If you don't win the Champions League, you're out basically. So I don't really count that as like him being fired for those reasons that you're talking about. I think Chelsea fired him because new ownership wanted to get their own people in, and part of that is manager. And the only reason I'm saying that he might go to Real Madrid is because there's rumors swirling around that Carlo Ancelotti might be on his way out to take one of these national team jobs. So if that's the case,
Which I don't think.
and if you're
Which I
Real
think. I mean, I
Madrid,
think it'd be good for him.
who's the best available manager at this moment that's without a
Him,
job? And I would
him
say
or
Thomas Tuchel.
Zidane.
Zidane's retired, so
You
Thomas
know what's
Tuchel.
crazy though? I feel like and I mean, obviously we're going somewhere else with this, but I kind of feel like if Carlo Ancelotti takes the job, a Brazil job, say he wins the World Cup in 2026, I think you're starting to that has to be GOAT talk right there with him, because if he's able to do that, I mean that
Oh
he
no,
has
he's already in
literally
that conversation.
no, but I think
It's,
he might stamp
that
himself
guy's there.
as.
He's won like every league, Champions League he's
But I
been
mean,
on.
yeah, but I mean, I think a World Cup would really like that would just stamp it there. No, and I agree. He's won. I think he's won what a Champions League in every single, or is it
No,
the
he's won the league in every place he's
at
gone.
every stop he's been. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But yes,
Um,
5 Champions Leagues and I
He's
mean a
at
World Cup.
Milan.
I
he
just think
won
would
it as a
cement his
player and
legacy.
as a coach.
Yeah.
Look,
Like Pep
we
Guardiola,
rated
if he won,
the Champions League higher here. I personally rate it
yeah,
higher than the World Cup.
yeah, no, so
Does he
no, I
need
do
the World
too.
Cup to solidify his career as like the best manager? I don't necessarily think so. I think when we're talking about best managers, Ancelotti's name obviously comes up. Sir Alex is up there.
Well, yeah,
Jose Mourinho, a Pep, I guess, here and there.
Your boy.
Um,
Pep who?
so yeah, I
Pep
think
who?
Ancelotti's already in that conversation.
I would not put Pep anywhere near that
The billion
conversation.
dollar man, bro. The billion dollar
L-
man. Come on.
Look, there's a reason why I wouldn't put Pep in that conversation, and I think we can speak about that later at a different episode. But yeah, I
Defend his
mean,
boy. I'm
let's
telling you,
just
this guy's
say,
turning colors.
there's a lot of
He's starting to think
scandal and
Manchester's blue now.
controversy surrounding Barcelona lately, and
Yeah, every team he
you
goes
know,
to, every
so
team he goes to has
and
the
more
same
more
Hey,
problem.
scandal and
Barcelona and Man
controversy
City.
right here at Man City. No scandal at Bayern because that club's not run that way.
Hey, they got rid of him quick. They got rid of him quick.
Man,
So
and you know what's crazy is that they said that if they could face the same penalty as Juventus, where they dropped the 15, 16 points,
Juventus,
or
I think it was back in 2005 or
They got sent
2006.
to the
They
second
got
division.
relegated, I think, and they
Yep.
got sent to
oh,
not
that's what it is,
second. I think they got
relegated.
sent to third division, I think, or something like that. And that's when Del Piero had the option to go to Real Madrid, and like a true hero, he said, "No, I'm staying at Juventus. They need me." And the rest is history.
Brought
But
him back.
They're not going to
Man
give Barcelona
City
the death penalty.
are facing not only relegation but expulsion from the Premier League. So they're facing expulsion from the Premier League, and on top of that, the EFL is not obligated to take on Man City as a team in their league. So
In the words of
anything can
Bane,
happen.
this is so corrupt. I think that
Anything can happen.
they're gonna be able to get out of it. Both of them are gonna. I mean, I'm sure they'll get slapped on the wrist, but I think both of them are gonna get out of it because it's Pep, it's Barcelona.
I think it's more
Pep
likely
project.
that Barcelona go down, honestly, because the
One of
league president,
one of them needs to go down.
the La
They're gonna
Liga
need to put.
president does not
Yeah,
mess around. I think he's
Yeah,
he's by the book, and yep. So
good. Sink that ship. Each of us can have a drill. We'll drill holes in that ship, and we'll help. I'll help. I'm willing to
you sure
help.
you don't want to buy your piece of Barcelona history and purchase a
Buy
seat
a
there at the
seat.
stadium?
Yeah, just buy a
Hey,
seat.
look at what
To fund their
happened.
next transfers.
Ever since Salpique did what he did, that
Hey
team is just going down, down. I mean, don't mess with
man,
Shakira. By the
so
way, did you see
like
that video of
Shakira,
him? They
if
asked
you listen to this,
somebody.
hit me up.
Somebody asked. Somebody asked him the other day, "Who's your? That's the stupid videos going around. Who's the most famous person in your contacts?" He's like, "Well, my partner was Shakira, so I think she's the famous." You can try and call that number, homeboy. I bet you that shit's blocked or that thing's blocked. Like you ain't that ain't no one picking up that. So definitely, but let's time to move on to the last matchup of Champions League. Benfica over Club Brugge 2-0. Obviously, we've had our conversations about Benfica and the way they hold teams hostage, and they're able to squeeze out the last cent and pennies to get players sent. But what did Eddie? What did you make of this game?
No Enzo, no problem. That's the way I saw it, right? What's gonna happen? Enzo left. They're sailing by. They're good. No disrespect to Club Brugge, but yeah, I mean, there's no competition. Benfica at the top of the league. They're one of the most informed teams in Europe. So no surprise here that they beat this team 2-0.
JC?
Yeah, I mean Gonzalo Ramos missed a bunch of goals up there, man. They definitely were struggling to score goals. I think they should have easily won by more than two, and the game really wasn't that entertaining. It almost was just like the perfect
Yeah.
recap of the whole week of the Champions League. Like it was just so built up, and I don't know if it's everybody's waiting for the second leg or they're more, committed to their league and other competitions within the league, and they're just fighting off Champions League. But it's tough. It really
Well,
was
there's no
just
more
kind
away
of
goals either.
like, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
lackluster all around. You would figure that because there isn't away goals anymore, that you could just go out there and win a game heads up and not have to worry too much about that, and you kind of cause a bigger spark between teams. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if they were all on the same page. Like, hey, let's all wait for next week or whatever it is. But yeah, this game was almost the perfect recap of the whole week. Bruges, lucky to be there. Um, but Benfica still should have done more, and definitely could have closed the game out earlier.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting matchup. I mean, Eddie, just give maybe some folks don't know or they don't follow it that close. So who's a guy on either team that you're keeping an eye on for maybe the future? Maybe who's going to be another $130 million man
We
coming up?
gotta we gotta talk about that boy Ramos, like JC said. He hit that World Cup hat trick that bench Cristiano Ronaldo. So coming out of the World Cup, he was already being followed by a couple teams, and that hat trick obviously, blew him up even more. And if he's scoring goals in the Champions League, we seen what happened with Darwin Nunez, right? Darwin Nunez was banging goals in the Champions League for Benfica, and here come Liverpool and splash the cash. So look out for him. Look out for another 100 million plus signing from whatever team is desperate enough to sign him.
Chelsea,
Um,
Mm.
Chelsea,
they need a
yeah,
nine.
yeah. And well, for Club
JC,
Brugge, it's not really players there that you can say
This
that will
yeah,
reach that
yeah.
type of caliber.
The only one there
Um,
really Buchanan, I guess.
yeah, a little
He's
Canadian
got a little
boy.
pace.
Yeah,
Somebody to watch for the next World Cup. But not too much over there. Mignolet on his riding it
last
out,
leg.
right, riding it out to the sunset, and
Yeah.
they'll be all right. They've produced a couple players here and there, but nothing too crazy at the moment. But yeah, the next ransom note from Benfica's got Ramos's name on it.
yeah, no, definitely. Right, yeah, Ramos took everybody by storm at the World Cup. But a game that was happening during these matchups, the BVB and Benfica
Old
game
Premier
was
League.
Man City and Arsenal face each other in the EPL race. Man City wins 3-1. They tie things up in the EPL race, but Arsenal still has a game in hand, so that just made everything more interesting. I remember Pep a couple of weeks ago. We don't care no more about the EPL race, and all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
now they've really thrown everything and they're back in it. Eddie, what did you make of this matchup?
It was a pretty fun matchup, actually. It's unfortunate. Tomiyasu, he had ups and downs throughout the game. Nketiah, man, Nketiah missed so many chances that you come to wonder if a world class striker would have scored some of these chances. I'm talking some of these chances were like sitters. Like,
Oh my God, you
I'm
rated him and
serious.
now
I'm
you don't.
serious.
Here we
No,
go
I
with
do rate
this
the kid. I
guy,
like the
bro.
kid, but
All of a
like,
sudden you want
yo,
another
if he
striker,
scores
but
one
you
or
rate the
two
guy. Are
chances,
you with him or are
we're
you not?
talking a whole different game right
Are
now.
you with him or are you not? Okay.
Come
Now you
on.
want another
And
world-class
and here
striker
here
after you
comes
rate the
Pep.
guy.
Pep who
Okay.
disrespected Jack Grealish since he
Your
bought
boy.
him.
Your boy Pep.
And
Okay.
here we go. Jack, save me. Save us. And Kevin De Bruyne put on a vintage performance. Haaland didn't really have a lot of chances, but that one chance he did have, he scored. Gabriel, who J.C. rated over here, look in shambles.
I
Shambles.
rated Saliba, not Gabriel. Okay.
Horrible.
Easy now.
So and then
We'll get in there.
Jorginho looked okay. He didn't look great. He didn't look bad. But yeah, I mean, interesting scoreline. I don't think it tells the whole game. If we're being completely honest, I think the game was a lot more even than the scoreline leads you to believe. But again, the Premier League title race just heated up again.
JC, what did you make of this?
Yeah, Arsenal didn't do themselves any favors. They clearly had a lot of chances. The penalty was a big deal. Ederson really, who knows what he was thinking, or he wasn't thinking, clearly, right? Just kind of leans into him and just stands there and knocks him off. And it was funny to see him point to the side too, and then Saka just kind of nets it down there. That was pretty cool to see on that half right there. But I don't know. I don't think ever since Jorginho's come on, they've been struggling in the midfield. He's kind of killing the flow a little bit. I don't know if you guys correct me if I'm wrong. What's up with Party? Where'd he go? I haven't had a chance to look up and see what he's doing these days, but they're definitely missing him in the midfield. They play very
Well,
different with Jorginho being there.
Odegaard behind. They put Odegaard they used to put him behind Edward, and now they're not. They're putting him off to the side.
And that's what I'm getting at is that fluidity really isn't there anymore because you saw the game versus United, which seems to be their last, top performance where they were really battling back and forth and a lot of errors. Tomiyasu won the own goal. Gabriel just getting handled by Haaland. I mean, he didn't score the goal till late, right when the game was finished. Busted a Rashford. But, he had Gabriel on skates and he had him second guessing. Shinchenko. Arsenal really just kind of did it to themselves for the most part. Arteta just, kind of looking like an Arteta. And, they were top of the league and it was a big joke before they went on to the World Cup break that Arsenal was like this last time. And then the second half after the break, it all fell apart. Look at you laughing. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Because I called it. I said
Hey.
Arsenal, top of the league come December. And after December, they're gonna shamble and they're gonna choke. And this is what's happening.
And it's gonna be fun to see. I mean, I feel like Jorginho should be coming off the bench. You have to play this game real offensive. And just looking at this lineup, it's real disrespectful from Pep Guardiola. I mean, you just really start one player in the midfield. You ended up with Bernardo Silva playing left back for you, and he got a card on it. Look at me, still on football mode. He's got a yellow card there just because he got outpaced, but it's he really didn't respect the opponent at all, and he really just went out there and did what he wanted to do, and kind of Arteta just froze. He got
master versus the apprentice, right? Is that what they were trying to label it?
Yeah, one overthought the other, and I think Arteta just really just did it to himself. They really should have done a lot better, and they should have acted like they were playing at home, because they fell off.
They should have acted like they're the league leaders. That's what they should have acted like.
Arteta busted a Pep, huh?
But there's a 3-horse race now for the title.
For the folks listening, we appreciate you guys listening. But right now we have the table, the EPL table. Manchester City's at the top. Obviously, like I said, they have a game in hand. They have 51 points. They're tied with Arsenal with 51. Arsenal still has a game to play. This weekend, Manchester City faces Nottingham Forest. Arsenal faces Aston Villa. And then right behind them, with 5 points behind, is Manchester United. They got 46 points. They will face Leicester City this weekend after facing Barcelona on Thursday. But I mean, the guys are right. I mean, it's literally heating up between all three of them. Manchester City or Manchester United could get hot and make this really a 3-team race, and that'll make for an interesting finish. So definitely a lot of good things happening in the EPL. A lot of excitement from those teams, and Newcastle just ties, and they've kind of fallen off. Conte's taking L's over with Tottenham, and Brighton's in sixth spot. Fulham, Brentford, and then you got Liverpool, who have taken. They won last weekend, but they took an L. Then a tie before that, then an L, and next Tuesday they face Real Madrid in the Champions League. So that'll be an interesting.
And
that'll be an
Klopp's already
interesting
complaining
match.
about the grass and the temperature,
Of
and
course.
the pitch is too wet. Klopp's
Wait,
already
who's
making
complaining about that?
excuses.
Oh, typical Klopp fashion. Just trying to. But the thing is, but I mean, at the same time, he's doing these things. He knows what he's doing. It's a veteran coach play. Take the attention off the players. Let's defer. Let me go do my show and let the players relax, because they all are under pressure. I mean, you look at their form: loss, draw, loss, win, and then they're gonna play Newcastle coming up next, and Newcastle's right there, number 4. If they lose to Newcastle, and then they got to go play Madrid after that, and you lose again, or you don't get a result in the 2 games, if in a perfect world, Liverpool ties both games, right? Like, that's the dream scenario for them. Because do you really have Liverpool beating Newcastle?
I think they're more focused on the league than the Champions League. I think the Champions League for them is a long shot, and the league, their priority should be getting European football. And right now,
like, what's going to happen on that left side. Like,
they got probably going to put
Brighton. Whoever,
6,
no, I know, but whoever they're going to put,
whoever
they're going to put on the left side. Whoever they're going to put on that left side, they already know is going to get burned all game long against Real Madrid. Well, yeah, but he might try and do something else. He might try and do something else. Well, Trent's going to get burnt then all game.
We got Big Trent. He's going to play center mid, man.
Look, honestly, I'll be honest with you. The matchup I'm looking most forward to in the Premier League this weekend is Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Because Unai Emery has not forgotten how they did him at Arsenal, man. So,
revenge game.
Yeah, a revenge game.
They're playing in Villa, right?
It's gonna be nice, man. It's gonna be nice. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Are they going to Villa?
Villa Park.
Yes, that'll be interesting.
Shout out Ashley Young. Ashley Young gonna run him up.
There you go. Off the bench.
Let's go.
Now let's head over to some news. Mexico, during the week that we were off, Mexico hired Diego Cocca as their new manager. New managers in. Obviously, a lot of people thought it could be El Piojo Herrera. Now I think he's with Cholos, right? He's at Tijuana.
Yeah, signed with Cholos. Yep.
Second
stint with Cholos.
Oh, we could get him on. You guys want to? I mean, I could make a couple of calls and we can have him on. You guys want to have him on?
Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah.
Who are you gonna call? Bimbo?
I got a lot of questions.
Bimbo contact Movistar.
I got you. So obviously, now it's Diego, who was with Tigres, I believe, before. So I mean, let's start off with Eddie. Eddie, what did you make of this hire?
Let me get his resume.
No, I don't need his resume necessarily, but I don't understand it, to be honest with you. I thought all fingers were pointing to Pachuca coach Almada taking over. The guy played attractive football, won the chip with Pachuca, playing a great style of football. Wasn't shy of playing young players when he needed to. Diego Cocca, really, if you looked at his time at Atlas, wasn't really playing that much, great football. It was really defensive. It was sometimes lackluster. To me, it doesn't make a lot of
These fools,
sense, you know.
they love
But
Argentinians.
he leaves Tigres, and now Tigres is scoring goals for fun. So I don't know where this makes sense. You know, on the positive side, I guess you can say what he will bring is professionalism to the team. I think he's going to bring something that Tata was unable to bring, which is, I think, authority. I would say, because he demanded authority from his squad when he was at Atlas. You know, that's one of the reasons they actually won the title that season that he was there. Yeah, it's the style of play just doesn't suit Mexico. But at least it's a coach in the positive that knows the league, is able to scout players from the league, and you know, from there, really just let's give the guy a shot, I guess.
Before we go with JC to see what we have a special guest who wants to
Ooh.
jump on and talk about what he thinks about this. Hercules, go ahead, man.
One opposing group to everything that's been Mexican football over the last, I'd say, 2 decades, and that is Grupo Pachuca. That is Jesus Martinez. Guillermo Almada plays for one of Jesus Martinez's teams, which is Pachuca. He was a candidate. There's a reason that Jesus Martinez wasn't or isn't in this committee, the ownership committee of 5. It's because he knew what was coming. So in this status quo of everything that is happening, what happens? Okay, you have 5 owners. You have Cholos. Don't ask me why Grupo Caliente is there. You have Chivas, America, Grupo Orlegui, which is Santos and Atlas, and then Necaxa. In those 5, okay, they decided we need to restructure Mexican football. Rodrigo Arres de Parga, who's never been a successful director of anything in Mexican football, leaves Querétaro, which was a dumpster fire, and he's in charge of the hiring process, part of the hiring process where he goes and interviews the candidates. Rodrigo Arres de Parga, Querétaro, which is Grupo Caliente, Cholos in Querétaro, interviews was supposed to be only Guillermo Almada and Miguel Herrera. Somewhere along the lines, we added the names Ignacio Ambriz, Turco Mohamed, Bielsa, and out of nowhere, Diego Cocca, who was already making $4 million a year with Tigres, comes into the process. Why is Diego Cocca relevant in this? Who is Diego Cocca's representation, his agent? Well, it happens to be Christian Bragarnik, and Bragarnik is a partner with Grupo Caliente. They own teams together. They own a team in Spain. They have business together. In this Grupo Caliente ownership, he owns those teams. He represents Diego Cocca, who happens to be with Grupo Caliente, who's part of the committee. And in doing this, putting their candidate out, it eliminates Grupo Pachuca. So this is all a political ploy. And also, by the way, Diego Cocca was employed by Orlegui at Santos and at Atlas. So this is all political. So in the process of putting...
Color me shocked. JC, what did you make of what
Shocked.
our guest had to say?
It's the same old 3. Every single thing has an, alternate motive. There's another reason why, and and there's a saying that we have here in Mexico that says "taparle el ojo al macho," and everybody, for translation, that means cover the macho's eyes, right? If you want to go word for word, but in what it really means is, in this sense, is that everybody's bothering and just going back and forth how they need a coach from the league. They need a coach who knows the players. They need a coach who can, rally everybody because he's in Mexico and all that stuff. And they did it. They got the guy, right? And ultimately, what was the selling point? He broke Atlas's 100-year curse. He could break Mexico's curse. But you heard the real reason.
Star.
Hey, big time wishing on the star. And, his Atlas performances for me, it was that last place team that went and won the league, like every IMX's team ever does always. It's always that team that goes in at each place that plays the ugliest game, and you always leave the game wondering how did they win that one. And it's all political. And
the Mexican Federation and Mexican soccer is a mafia, for those who don't know. And like he said it, there's controlling interests within within Mexican soccer. There's controlling interests that control the national team and whatever agenda they have. And that interest does not involve any sporting related things. It involves commercial things. It involves making money. It involves selling tickets and playing teams like, no disrespect, Venezuela, El Salvador, Ecuador, and come to LA and fill up the
Para
stadiums
golearlos.
there. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, or you
And
Hoping to
they
know,
win,
don't.
hoping to win
go to
8-0. Yeah.
Houston,
They
and
don't.
they're gonna bring a star to like a Chucky Lozano or a Vega and get the crowd going, and just it's how serious are they about
They're not.
changing Mexican soccer? Oh, they're talking about bringing back the relegation system, but we know that the relegation system in Mexico is all about, oh, I'm going down, I'll just pay my way out of it, and
That's
I'll
right.
pay that team that, let's say, unos alacranes that are supposed to go up, and hey, no, look, there's 20 mil here for you. Don't go up, and we'll keep your spot. And
By the
it's horrible,
way,
man. And
congratulations
who's
to
at
Team
fault?
US.
Yon de Luisa.
Congratulations to Team USA, Mexico, and Canada. You have already qualified
Yeah.
for the 2026 World Cup. Clap it up.
Yep.
Clap
Yep.
it up to
Yep.
them. They've already
How
qualified.
about that?
There's no need to do anything. You want to know how serious Mexico is about all this and how serious everybody is? This is a post on Fox Sports, and I know I joke around with you guys about this, but come on, dude. Like, get the hell out of here. Should Mexico's new manager, Diego Cocca, bring back Chicharito to the national team? Like, why are we even asking that kind of stuff? Like, the dude's over the hill. They want it. Like, you want to start off with these younger kids. You wanted to supposedly they want to develop, and
You don't
hay que
want a
mandar
Guardado in there.
a
You
más
don't want a
niños a
Chicharito.
Europa.
You don't
Exactly.
want an Herrera there. You don't want these players that
No.
Mexico took the second oldest squad to the World Cup this year. The
And look what
second
happened.
oldest. And the
They got
United
Argentina
States
jump started.
took the second youngest. Who's looking better? Who's looking better? The United States is positioned better for 2026 right now than
Yeah.
Mexico. And
Canada's positioned better than the US or than
and
Mexico.
so you can understand people's frustration. Your casual fan is not going to care, right? Your casual fan wants a Chicharito, wants a Herrera, wants a Guardado, and wants to see a game here and there, and that's it. Call it a day, and then I'll see you 2026. But those who are
You should
truly
read the first
invested in the
comment on that.
sport, those who like really want to see Mexico go from just a regular powerhouse here in CONCACAF to going to a global powerhouse, those are the fans that are frustrated with the Mexican Federation, the Mexican national team, and just overall what's been happening in the last 20 years. Like, nothing's been happening that's suggesting that Mexican soccer is moving in an upwards trajectory. Where you look at the MLS, and they're desperate to get their players out of the MLS and send them to Europe. If someone comes in and tries to buy a United States player and they offer $1 million, they're going to take it. Where if you go to Mexico and try to buy a Mexican player, the club's holding out for 10, 15 million. Doesn't make any sense.
JC.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's all business. It's all, whatever sponsor wants their players to play are going to play. And like Hercules said, there's 5 seats at the table, and they're all multi-ownership, seats. Everybody at that table owns up to 2 teams, and go figure, right? One of the teams, one of the group's guys got the seat to be the next Mexico coach. So it's all just going to be a pipeline for them. And then I don't know. I read some rumor that said that they were going to give him, if he doesn't win the Gold Cup, that they were going to axe him right away and blah blah blah. And it's like, are they really? They got a shoe into the World Cup already. They don't need to rush anything. They just need to do as many ticket sales here in the U.S. and you hate to see it. There's a lot of things that need to get fixed at a higher level. But as long as what's his name? I can't even say his name right. Yon de Luisa, yeah, whatever. As long as he's sitting up there at the top and making all these guys packets fat, he's never going to lose his job, and this is never going to change. But
he should have resigned after the World Cup, and after losing the Gold Cup.
None of the youth teams are going to any big tournaments either. So
yeah, the under 20 didn't qualify for the under 20 World Cup.
Everybody's on the way out for this whole Mexico national thing.
And we all know that club that team with Chicharito was injured, but that team with Andres Guardado, Vela, like that team won the World Cup for the youth. That should have been the strongest team Mexico ever had, and they just really they underperformed a lot and everything. So it just sucks the direction that they're in. But I mean, the problem is fans are just going to keep on buying tickets. They don't care. They're still going to support the team. They're still going to go to the World Cup. They're still going to travel to wherever Mexico goes. and that's kind of until I think fans kind of stand up and say something and they stop going to all these games. I just feel like it's going to be business as usual, to be completely honest. But
For real. And
last quick
USA
thought,
is
you guys
gonna
have
run
a
amok. Honestly, this
yeah.
new tournament that's coming up where they're gonna join MLS and Liga MX, it's gonna be a real splash of cold water for a lot of clubs out there that think they really got it made, and they really think a lot higher themselves than what they really are. And MLS is really gonna come from an angle that's gonna punch a lot of people in the nose, and they're not gonna know what to do or how to act. This new cup coming up is really gonna be great for USA, and they're gonna expose a lot of talent and a
Like
lot of
Mexico,
holes in Mexican soccer for sure, because the academies in the MLS are just running circles around them. The fitness levels, the type of athletes they're producing, it doesn't even come close. They're really going to expose Mexican soccer, and it's going to be great for CONCACAF. And yeah, it's going to be great to see as a Mexico fan because there's going to be a lot of change that's going to come because of that.
yeah, I mean, let alone that and the leagues both having that, combined tournament, which in a sense creates like a super league in CONCACAF, right?
Yep.
But we're talking about Mexico being invited to the Copa America and a couple other
It's not
teams from
going to
the
happen
CONCACAF,
anymore.
right? Oh, that's not going to happen anymore.
It's back and forth. They're talking money issues now, of course, per usual. How much are they going to get out of it and all that? And they don't go play over. They don't go play to win the tournament. They go to see how much money they're going to make and what kind of revenue they're going to get out of it. When they're supposed to be going over there, like old teams used to, like every time, you hate to say it, but you're going to support whatever Mexican team goes out there. When Tigres went out there and they ran in milk, all of Mexico was out there like, oh, Quiñones, Guignac, they're going to tear them up, and they were. And it was, part of that. South American teams didn't want to play Mexican teams because they're competing for the same players in the same market, and it's just getting more and more expensive. But at the same time, when a Chivas or America or a Cruz Azul or a Tigres, and now more recently it was Tigres, is going out there and doing these things, it does great things for the culture and everybody down there in the leagues and developing. But they don't want to win. They're not doing it to go out there. There was a time where Brazil couldn't
And
beat Mexico in a big game, but
that goes back to my point where I'm saying, why didn't you want to bring back a La Volpe at that point then? He's a proven winner with Mexico.
He's done, man.
Winner with Mexico.
He's done.
I understand. Whatever. This is what it is. It's unfortunate. Not surprised at all that these big conglomerates own half of the teams in Mexico, and there's 5 people making the choices and the decisions. Yep. And that's just the way it's going to be unless someone intervenes. And I'm telling you right now, it ain't going to be Televisa intervening. I'll tell you that much.
No, sir.
So
it's their show.
Never. Obviously, we appreciate everybody for listening and jumping on again on Compas FC. Don't forget, guys, TikTok page at Compas FC 11. Dan and Diego's been doing a great job with that, keeping it up to date. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave it there. Leave it down below in the comments here. If you guys have any questions for the guys about anything going on with Mexican soccer, with anything going on in Champions, Europa, we got it all. Again, we appreciate you guys so much for checking it out. Don't forget to check out everything else on Compas on the Beat Network. We got the regular Compas on the Beat where Gilbert, Dan, Diego, and I discuss exactly what happened during the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, is he deserving of being in the GOAT discussions now with everything that he's been doing? Patrick Mahomes, does this elevate him, keep him the same? We talk about that. And then Jalen Hurts. Does Jalen Hurts deserve to be paid like Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow after this season? That's a question that obviously we're going to be answering. Don't forget to also check out What's Up Bolts for some of the old stuff. I mean, obviously, the Chargers have only had their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, for a little bit, but go check out Dan and Diego and I obviously break down his press conference, House of Horns, some of the moves that the Rams have made. And then also there's a lot of interviews on What's Up Bolts from last week. We got to talk to Sean Lights Out Merriman. We spoke to Shane Steichen, for now the Indianapolis Colts head coach. I spoke to Melvin Gordon. He was very candid about everything that was happening leading up to the Super Bowl. A lot of Radio Row great stuff. Spoke to Austin Eckler as well. So everything's there. House of Horns or stuff there. And don't forget, Comeback Compas is making a comeback. We had some really cool interviews. Go check out the interview with Jamal Hill. He stole Dan and Diego's hat. He said, I'm going to keep this hat, and he did his whole interview in a Southern accent, which was hilarious. So definitely go check that out. And don't forget, WrestleMania is on the horizon. Tony Khan asked the Compas, will you guys join us at our pay-per-view in San Francisco at the Chase Center? I think because it's Tony Khan, I think we're going to have to do it. So we will be going up. It's going to be MJF taking on Brian Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match. But thank you guys so much again for joining us. We have all the content next week. We will be doing some more Compas FC. Again, we appreciate you guys so much. Have a great one. Don't forget, be a compa. Tell a compa about what the compas are doing. Appreciate you guys.